Evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel and smash that like button right meow. You're gonna have a good time. I sure am. Just need to get my screen set up. I did go live a minute late. My bad. I am more awake than I was last week. So maybe that'll help out. Let's see my channel. I always want to go to subscriptions when I'm live, but YouTube will not let me subscribe to Nikki M. Carlin. Yeah, I guess my background's okay. Oh, one to go to. Glad you made it. Says, good to see you, Nikki. You are marvelous for real. Oh my God, thank you. You guys are awesome. If it wasn't for you folks, I do not know what I would be doing with myself. I honestly, I don't know when. I don't stop and really evaluate my life, say every week, but at some point I realize I cannot do anything else. I wish I would have. Of course, you always wish you would have started doing something good sooner. But this really does make me stay on track. Let's see here. Opening up my Twitch chat room. I'm not streaming on Twitch. I'm just still on YouTube for the time being. But if you have a Twitch chat room, you have a if you have a Twitch handle, you have a chat room. There we go. I think it helps since I found my coffee pot. I've been making coffee, so maybe that's helping out too. I don't drink a lot of it. It's one of those single serve type ones. Oh, what's up, Dandy? Glad you made it. I really need to swap it out. Before I was not drinking a lot of coffee. Now I could stand to have some more. So maybe if that one gets fried, I can get a one that makes more than 1 cup at a time. Oh yeah, so background's pretty much the same there. You can't really, there's nothing going on back there. It's just kind of humid. It rained. And it's a little bit warmer in here than last time, so I kind of feel sweaty, but it doesn't really show up on camera. Oh, what's up, Thomas Collins? Glad you made it. I says, hey, Nikki, good to see you. Nothing to declare but my Guinness. I know that's right. You ever have an Irish car bomb? Dude, I'll have 2 of those and be effed up. Like, I don't think I should have any more. So now I get to read the recap that I wrote 2 weeks ago, since I recapped the episode I had been doing that night, which would have made it a spoiler. I still gotta get it back together with I've got one of these reviews that doesn't have a recap up there yet. It's okay, it's okay. I've gone past it by now, but I just want to get that filled in eventually. See, this is stupid. Ever since last time, I've been getting emails from Streamlabs. Your latest stream report. And it tells you how many people watched your show. And it'll say, like 0 or something. And it's like, well, yeah, it just ended. I need to turn that off. I don't know why I started doing that. But to recap my last recap, Barnabas met Maggie. He went to her job late at night looking for a cup of coffee. He keeps late hours too. Wonder why. And then the very next night, he shows up at their house. She invited him in. And he commissioned Sam to paint his portrait over at the old house and wanted to start that night. He's like, well, since my days are so busy, can we just work only at night? And Sam's, you're paying, buddy, whatever you want. Offered him $1,000, and that's nothing to sneeze at. I don't care what year it is. And then later on, Victoria goes over to the old house looking for Barnabas, and she runs into Willie. That's when she finds out he's still in town and he's working for Barnabas. Everybody thought he was leaving. Now he's just a 5-minute walk away. And we have 1,021 episodes to go. I do have super chats opened up. It's Venmo and Buy Me a Coffee. I figured out the other day, maybe I'm so tired during the day, it's because I cannot see across my room. I've had to pull my bed about 2 feet away from the wall to even see the TV. So I don't know if I just need to get used to it or if I honestly just need new glasses. I got these 2 years ago. What the hell? So, yeah, any super chats will probably be going to glasses here. We'll see how it goes. Definitely won't be going to the place I went to before. And your money stays in the United States. It does not go to supporting AI content. I don't spend it on hookers and blow. You get your comment read at my next live show. What else do I say? No hookers and blow, no AI, stays in the United States. Read your comment. I forget. You know what I usually say. You guys have been here before. You guys have been coming here as long as I have. You know what I usually say. Dandy says Barnabas is a creeper. I know, right? It's like you don't realize, okay, what places in the 60s stayed open that late? Did they have Denny's back then where you could just go get a cup of coffee at any time? And, we don't really know exactly what time the coffee shop closes up, to be fair. Like, I don't know if it's they serve dinner and then they close up at 7 p.m. Just, I don't know. But, maybe it was a late shift anyway, and I don't know, but it's he shows up late. Of course, the hotel's always open, but Maggie was nice, served him some of the old coffee there, and Barnabas paid too. He left a coin, so he paid. I don't know if he tipped, but he paid. Thomas says, "I know I am not cool with what he did to Maggie." Yeah, it's Maggie is my girlfriend, so I'm gonna get offended if anybody's mean to her. Same with Liz. That's why I don't like Jason. I like the actor, I like the character, I get that he's just a con man and all that stuff. He's fun to watch. But just because he's going against Liz, he's pissing me off. He's on my bad side. Thomas says, that's it, good coffee. Yeah, maybe they have the best coffee in town. We never really hear about another diner in town. It's such a small place. It seems like the bus picks people up and drops people off at the hotel anyway. So of course there would be a diner there. I don't know if there's a competition across town. I have seen them with coffee cups at the Blue Whale. So it's a little bit weird that Maggie's not just like, I just go to the bar for a cup of coffee, but maybe it's a secret that the bar has coffee. They don't want that getting out, and the whole town's in on it. So I don't know. So there's that. I got my notes off to the side here. I need longer arms. All of my height is in my legs. I sit down and it's like that. But if I could just reach this with my foot. There we go. That's okay. It will be all right. There, perfect. And it is creepy that every single time Barnabas sees Maggie and then he's around Sam, he has to mention, oh, you have a lovely daughter. That's a lovely daughter you have there. You must be so proud of her. And it's Sam, yeah, she's a good kid. Like, I'm sure he gets compliments about his daughter a lot, so I think that's why it doesn't bother him, but every time they're alone, Barnabas has to make a comment about it. It's like, me personally, that would set me off. I would notice that pattern real quick. Like, dude, this is the third time I know I've seen her. But maybe he's never seen a girl as pretty as Maggie, so it's just he has to say something. Possibly. We're sure we'll find out. But the last thing we saw in the last episode, Maggie went to sleep and she's tossing and turning, has this terrible dream. We see it again at the start of this episode. They just reuse the same footage. It's that Maggie is in this forest at night, and by forest I mean it's like these two dead trees and these huge rocks that are big enough to stand up on. And I didn't notice it the first time, but I noticed it this time. You can see the dry ice bucket off to the side. Oh man, it's cute when you can see that kind of stuff. I want to move my camera just a. Yeah, that's better. That's better. There's nothing really back there to see except the floor, but I just want some consistency. Um, it's not like anybody's fanning it or anything, but it's literally a bucket. You can see the dry ice kind of spinning over the edge, and like it makes it feel more like you're watching a stage play versus a TV show. I like that little stuff, like when you can see the microphone shadow from the light, stuff like that. Thomas says, she is a really brassy dame. She is. Maggie likes people. She has to deal with people all day. She's had to basically take care of her dad for the last decade, so she's a she's a smart lady. Like, she's not being a smart ass or anything, but she gets some good one liners in there. Really cool chick. But the stream is really scary though. Ice, dry ice bucket aside. She's in her night clothes. She's in this forest at night. She's walking around. Then there's this casket in front of her, and before she can even get near it, it opens up, and she looks inside and sees herself lying there, eyes closed, dead. Starts screaming, and it's this disembodied scream. And then we actually see Maggie. She's got her hands on her face, but it's not her face, it's a skull. And that's just creepy as hell. And she wakes up to just screaming at the top of her lungs, just screaming bloody murder. But she's got the phone right next to her bed, so she picks it up, dials, everything's a rotary phone. And she gets a hold of Joe, and Joe, just come over. I can't explain. Just get over here now. And so he's he's in his jammies anyway. He's got his it looks like it's maybe like silk or something. It's very nice, and is his robe. But he says okay. He says he's coming over. So she hangs up, and she just starts crying. Just hands on her face. She's just that scared. She's bawling. Poor Maggie. So next thing you know, we are at the Blue Whale, and it's Joe and Maggie walking in. It kind of looks like Maggie just sort of got out of bed, ran a brush through her hair once, got dressed, put on her coat, and went there. She's not trying to really get dolled up. She's just that shaky. But Joe orders a double brandy and a bourbon. We find out later in the episode the double brandy is for Maggie. But she's just really edgy. She's not herself, and she apologizes for that. Joe's, he's very understanding. It's like, I know, that's how I know something scary happened. It's like, you want to tell me what happened? They sit down, and Maggie says that she had a dream. It was so real. Just even remembering it scares me. But the drinks show up just that fast. They get service there at the Blue Whale. Everybody does. You order a drink, bam, it's there. So, she takes a sip, feels better. Where's my pen? Who took my pen? Oh, wait, it's over here. Thomas Collins says, I love the counter people. They hold us all together dealing with the public. Yeah, it's the people who like people and work with the public, more power to them. That is not my nature. I can turn it on, but I'm more naturally a quiet, get to the point kind of person. Not really. Like, I shoot the breeze with people I know, but sometimes with strangers, but that's really not my nature. I don't know, like people who can do that, it kind of blows my mind. Like, how do you talk to people? How do you just say words at a stranger? I can do it in a chat room, but in real life, it's like I'm speaking French at them or something. But Megs takes a drink. She's feeling better, but she's like, this is so stupid. We could have. There's alcohol at the house. We could have just stayed at home. Joe's like, well, you needed to get out of the house. And just tell me what happened. Oh, Thomas is saying Liz. I think Liz is kind of like that. Like, she's very polite, but I think on the whole, she would rather just keep to herself and just read and do the accounting and keep to herself. Just walk around the house with these giant fuck off diamond earrings. But Maggie's there. She's holding her drink. And she's telling Joe about the dream. She says, I was dead. I was in the woods. And there was a coffin. It opened all by itself. And I looked inside to see who was in there. And it was me. I was dead. And then I screamed. And it was like I was in the coffin looking back up at myself. But it wasn't me. It was a skull screaming at me. And at first I wasn't afraid. And then I started to get afraid. As though I was searching for what was frightening me. But then the search made me more frightened. So Joe asks her, has anything happened recently that might have scared you? Maybe hearing about all those ladies getting attacked is what caused it. Maggie says, I don't know why, but I feel like there's more to it than that. So just then, we hear this before we see them. It's Barnabas talking about, like, I insist on buying you a drink. The work you did on the portrait tonight is nothing short of superb. And it's Barnabas and Sam walking into the Blue Whale. So it must be pretty late at night for Sam to have been working for so many hours and them to come here. It's a bar. What bar do you know has a clock on the wall? So Sam says, well, I accept the compliment and the drink. So, of course, Maggie and Sam, Maggie and Joe see him walking in, and Maggie leans over to Joe, like, don't tell my pop about the dream. Joe agrees. Daddy says, I love you, get into character for each one, LOL. I like that, too. I really do. I want to get better at that. It's so much fun to do my best at you can't really, like, some of the stuff you really do want to see for yourself because I can't do it justice, but kind of if you get the vibe of what the character is getting into, it helps you sort of sink into it. But like, I'm not an actor, but I like to pretend. It's fun. Plus, think, like, you're a grown ass person telling your boyfriend, girlfriend about this terrible, scary dream you had and you couldn't get back to sleep. So it's, how often does that? Like, I've had some bad dreams, but haven't woken up crying, but I think I'd be that upset if I'd like, no, you gotta take me out for a drink. This is fucked up. I gotta tell you all about this in public. Like, oh no, dude. I can't DM you about this. I gotta say it to your face. That's what makes the reviews fun, doing all the getting into character. But as soon as Maggie tells Joe that, like, hey, don't tell my dad, that's when Sam notices his daughter and her boyfriend sitting there. Sam's like, Maggie, I thought you were at home asleep. So Joe's really good. He covers for her. He's like, oh, well, that's my fault. I convinced her to come out for a nightcap. And that's fine by Sam. He's certainly not going to mind anybody else taking a drink. So, they walk over to the table, and Sam is saying to Joe, like, oh, do you know Mr. Barnabas Collins? And Joe's like, yeah, because they were, at the house returning the cane, and they couldn't get out of there fast enough, so they met before. But Joe, asked how Barnabas is, and Barnabas says, oh, he's restless, but I expect it's proper for a man adapting himself to one's new surroundings. Looks over at Maggie. And how are you, Miss Evans? Maggie does not look happy to see him, but she's polite. She says, oh, very well, thank you. And as soon as she does that, tragedy. She knocks over her drink, just, because she was holding on to her double brandy. It spills. Oh, what's up, Brian? Glad you made it. Maggie knocks over her drink. She apologizes. Oh, I'm sorry. And Sam's like, Maggie, I thought I brought you up better than to spill good drink. Maggie's just, I'm sorry. How can I be so clumsy? So Barnabas is right there. He's pulling out this giant handkerchief from his... It looks too big to be a handkerchief, but he's got something right there. He's ready to, sop up the drink. Joe offers to go get a towel. Barnabas, no, I've got it here. Just cleaning up that double brandy. He's going to smell like liquor for the rest of the night because he stuffs it back in his coat. But then Barnabas offers to buy for everyone at the table, and then he says, I hope you don't mind the intrusion, and just sits right on down. And, Maggie's been staring at him the whole time he's been in the bar, so she's, not at all. She's not smiling. She hasn't been smiling about nothing this whole episode. She's just really put off. Yeah, Brian says, happy Saturday. Yeah. Pretty good so far. So how they're sitting, like Sam is sitting so he can see the bar. Then you've got Joe, Maggie, and Barnabas is sitting next to Maggie. And Maggie's not, leaning away from him, but she's just mindful of the fact that he's right next to her. But Sam's totally chill. He doesn't notice any of this. He's just saying, like, maybe I should do all of my painting at night. Barnabas says, yes, the night. It always seems to allow one to be more in touch with himself. Do you agree, Mr. Haskell? Joe says, I don't know. I'm the kind that likes to get up early. He does seem like a morning person. But then Barnabas says, and you, Maggie? Doesn't the night affect you in a very strange way? Maggie's, sometimes. Would you like to dance, Joe? And yeah, so they get up, head over to the, dance floor. It's sort of an area between most of the chairs and the bar where there are no tables. So that's the dance floor. So they get up, they get away from the table. Now we can see what Maggie's wearing because she's standing up. The dress is basically dark, but then about an inch or so wide. It's a stripe that goes all the way. Yeah, here we go. It's got long sleeves, so it's on the outside of the dress. It goes all the way straight down to the cuff, and then the cuff of the dress is that same color. It's a lighter color. Um, it's also down at the hem of the dress, and like these dresses usually hit just below the knee. And a square neckline. It doesn't come down very far. Probably doesn't even come down as far as this, but it's a little square neckline. It's very cute. But Maggie is so again like she hasn't been smiling the whole episode. Yeah, it just started, but she's never been so apprehensive before. She's never like had to keep her eye on somebody all the time, but she just can't take her eye off Barnabas when he's so close to her, and she's just so like if she was any more nervous, she'd actually be shaking, but she's just not herself. We've never seen her this way before. But they get up there at the dance floor again. Sam is sitting in such a way that he can look at the bar. So Barnabas has to turn completely around and he's looking at, them two dancing. We know he's just staring at Maggie. Kind of like remember when Willie first came into the bar and he and Jason sit down, but he's got to turn fully around to look at Victoria. It's like that. But somehow less creepy because he has an English accent. I don't know. Pardon, it's never been humid in here before. I don't know how to act. I'll figure out the weather in this room. I've got 3 windows behind me, and only one of them opens up properly. The other two, I'll have to shove something into the side to open up if I ever needed to. So that's okay. It's not like again it rained, nothing got in, so that's just a minor thing. So it lets out heat and it holds in humidity. Got it. But there's Barnabas turned completely around watching them two, saying to Sam, "You realize, do you not, what an extraordinary daughter you have?" Sam, "Oh, I realize it, all right." Barnabas, "I spoke just now of the night affecting us in a personal way. She doesn't need the night. She's always the same person. Kind, generous, gentle." Sam, "And a little temperamental sometimes, too. You gotta give her that credit." Barnabas, "Oh, I do." Sam, "No woman is worthwhile without a little fire in her veins." Barnabas, I'm sure." So over Joe and Maggie, they're kind of slow dancing, but Joe says, You're still trembling." Maggie says, "No, I'm all right. Really." Joe says, "Just hang on tight. You'll be okay." Maggie says, "Still, I'm afraid I'm not very good company." Joe says, "No complaints from me." So Maggie says, "What would I ever do without you?" Joe says, "Well, for one thing, you'd look silly dancing all by yourself." Went to go to said, just now got this half hour late. Thanks, YouTube. Nikki M. Carlin is live now. Dark Shadows 225. Yeah, thank you. Oh my God, take your time. What kind of stoner ass delay are you on? I'm not a half an hour late. I'm 23 and a half hours early for tomorrow. What do you mean I don't work here? I thank you. I just got a super chat. Buy me a coffee. Make me sign in. I'm not signing into that. I'll just go to email. It's an email. Thank you, Dandy. Says, hey, Nikki, just a little housewarming gift. Thank you so much. That helps out. Oh my God, thanks. Yeah, if I do end up having to get glasses, the only thing I'm worried about is like these are purple frames. You really can't see, but they're like sort of like lavender purple y. I'd want to get purple ones again, and I'd be going to a different place. But yeah, yeah, thank you. That'll all help out towards something I'll need. Thanks so much. No hookers and blow. You look silly dancing all by yourself. Every so often, it seems like everybody on this show at one point gets a chance to be funny. And again, they never really play a lot of this stuff up as jokes. It just ends up being funny. But yeah, Dandy, yeah, awesome. You're cool. Thanks for cutting your blue whale money. Because sometimes people are inadvertently funny. Sometimes it's just funny in context. Like that time David was talking about, like, I don't know, people lose stuff on the beach all the time. Uh, Nobody cracks a smile. But back at the table, Barnabas was still at it. Just this man gets on a topic and just you're not jumping around with topics like people do in a chat room. He just stays stuck on an idea. So he's still at it. He's saying that Haskell was a very fortunate man. If it were my nature, I'd envy him. Well, they're dancing in the background. Sam, oh come on, there's a little envy in all of us. Barnabas says, well, perhaps it's overwhelmed by the better instincts your daughter inspires in all of us. He does seem capable of bringing out the best in oneself. Sam, yes. If I didn't know better, I'd say that you were getting interested. Barnabas, interested? Of course. Involved? Of course not. So the song ends, and like Maggie seemed fine, and then as soon as the music stops, and Joe kind of turns his body as if to imply we're gonna go sit back down, that's when she just seems nervous again. She just does not want to go back to the table. So she's like, Joe, can you go back to the table and ask them to excuse us? They won't mind. I just would prefer to stay over at the bar. Joe says, you're still pretty upset, aren't you? Maggie says, no, I'm feeling much better. I just don't want to go back to the table, that's all. Joe says, okay, I understand. Maggie, I wish I did. Joe, that dream really threw you, didn't it? Maggie, dream? Oh, yes, the dream. Now she seems more upset about Barnabas being there than that dream she just had. So right after Joe tells them, the other two that they want to be alone, in walks Burke, and he's just in there for a nightcap. And there's he sees Joe and Maggie first, so he's there at the bar, and Maggie's like, "Oh, well, you can join us if you want." And there's Joe. He's pointing out. He's like, "Well, I just told your dad that we wanted to be left alone. How's it going to look if Burke joins us? I don't want to be rude." Look, man, Maggie's had a rough night. When she said to tell them that she wanted to be alone, that was before Burke showed up. So clearly, him entering the bar changes the entire situation. So it's just like, can you like tone it down on minding the P's and Q's and just let the man. So I just like I'm all for being polite, but like can you cut her a little bit of slack, Joe? It's late. Oh, what's up, John Rogers? Glad you made it. I guess YouTube doesn't tell people I'm live until after I've been doing this for a half an hour. Okay, I see how you are. So I get the Grace Still Place notifications 2 minutes late, but then for myself, it's 30 minutes. It's okay. But when Joe's mentioning, hey, I just told your father and Barnabas that we wanted to be left alone and all this stuff, and Burke's like, Barnabas, is that the man sitting with your father? And Maggie, yeah. Burke says, I wanted to meet him for a long time. I wouldn't join you now, even if you asked me. So he heads over to the table. So all he really knows about Barnabas is what Victoria told him, that he let Willie work for him and just that cousin Barnabas doesn't seem too smart. So he really wants to talk to this guy. So when he's away, Joe's say to Maggie, he just doesn't get why she doesn't want to go back to the table. This is funny. This is when you want to watch the show because now it's Sam, Barnabas, and Burke at the table. They're all sitting down, but it's like nobody knows who's supposed to start the scene. So Sam's just sitting there chilling, smoking his pipe, and Burke's in between them both. And then you see Barnabas, and he's just kind of like I don't know if he's looking for his cue or looking for what. It's a great like it's 2 seconds tops, but it's like one of the greatest awkward pauses we've had so far. It's like why isn't anybody talking? And the actors are just they kind of step on each other's lines for a second. Thomas Barnabas threw us a curve, yeah. This time will keep you guessing. But finally, Burke says, "Oh, Barnabas Collins." And Barnabas, well, yes, of course. The man who works for me, Willie Loomis, he mentioned your name. He did say there was some trouble between you, but he seemed very sorry about it. Mark says, Willie, sorry? I'm speechless. Sam, oh, you haven't seen Willie lately. He's a changed man. Mark says, I know it's none of my business, but if I were you, I'd get rid of him. Barnabas tells him if there's any further trouble, I will. He works very hard and effectively. I believe that he will be perfectly all right. Dandy says, I can't see tonight. Have a great time, everyone. We'll watch these episodes on Tubi. Oh, yeah, you're going to like them. Have a good night. Smash that like button on the way out. It helps. Maybe I'll be the next channel to hit 1 million. They're still talking about Willie. Sam says he's quite a different man. I can't describe it. Barnabas says, I'm quite confident that Willie will give no one any trouble. He offers to buy Burke a drink to help, start to smooth things over because of the trouble Willie caused. Yeah, Burke says, yeah. Barnabas goes on to say, and please don't worry about Willie. I'm a man who can't even stand the thought of violence. I'm the last man in the world who would have anyone near me who would even contemplate the thought of it. Serenity is my favorite emotion. So back over at the bar, Joe asks Maggie if she wants another drink before they go. And she's no, she's cool. She's acting like her old self. She's finally smiling for the first time. finally had her mind off of things long enough to act like herself. She says, "No, I'm much better and wonderfully tired." She thanks him, and Joe says anytime, and indicates the table, talking about, well, should we say our goodnights? And that's when Maggie stops smiling. She's nervous again. She's like, "Oh, did you say goodnight for me?" She says, "What's the matter? For a minute, I thought you were okay. Why are you avoiding going to the table?" Maggie says, "I'm not. Let's just both go over there and say goodnight." So they walk over to the table, and again, Barnabas has his back to the bar, so they have to walk past him around Burke to stand between Sam and Burke to say their goodnight. So she's away from Barnabas, but she's also looking directly at him. So that they all, they say their goodnights, they're heading back, all this stuff. And as they're walking out, Barnabas says, "Good night, Maggie. Sweet dreams." Kind of pause for a second. Just thank you. And then they take off. She's just been freaked out this whole time. So now we're in Maggie's bedroom. It's later on, she's wearing, back in her jammies, and she's sitting in a chair that's sort of across the room from the bed. She's got a book. She yawns, sets down the book, goes over to the bed, turns it down, but she doesn't want to get in. It's almost like she's afraid of it, so she's backs up away from it, goes back over to the chair, just picks the book back up and sits down. And there's Sam knocking at the door. So Meg, come in, Pop. Sam's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be in bed hours ago." Maggie says, "Oh, well, I started to read, and I guess I got interested." Sam looks at the book. He says, "Not interested enough to hold the book right side up," and he flips it around for her. He says, "What's the matter? Did you and Joe fight?" And he says, "No, nothing's wrong." Sam can tell she's off. What's wrong? You're acting like you did when you were a child and you used to have bad dreams. Says that be silly. Being afraid of bad dreams like a child. Sam says, "You're still my little Maggie. If you're afraid of anything, I want you to tell me about it." Maggie, what to be afraid of? I'm not afraid. Night, hugs, and Sam leaves the room. So Maggie goes over to bed. She gets in. The second she switches off the light, howling outside. I'm supposed to sleep with all that racket. But now we're back at the Blue Whale, and it's, Barnabas is still sitting there with Burke. Burke is admiring Barnabas's cane. Good. I like that. Is it a family heirloom? Looks like it could have been a weapon originally. Barnabas says, "Really? I like to think of it as representing a savage beast tamed and made familiar. A servant almost. Dedicated to assisting us in something so common and civilized as a casual evening stroll." Or yeah, man could develop a swagger carrying something like that. Barnabas, on the contrary, carrying this one does not need a swagger. Burke says it. Mind if I get a feel for it? Barnabas hands him his cane, and you can tell too by the way Burke's handling it. He's like, "Oh, it's nice and heavy." Looks at the candle. It certainly doesn't look tame to me, but if you could tame our Willie, a wild wolf wouldn't cause any problems. Do you know what kind of metal it's made out of? Barnabas says, "Of course, it's." And he's looking off in the distance. He's not. The longer Burke talks, the less he's paying attention to him. Like something else is just on this man's mind. So I'm sorry. Can we discuss this another time? I just remembered I have something that I have to do. And he excuses himself and rushes on out, which he often does. He shows up. He's really polite, but suddenly he just has to go. And I'm bored. Peace. Something got his attention. Ugh. So we're back in Maggie's bedroom, and she's having a nightmare. She's asleep, but she's tossing and turning. She's grabbing her neck. There's that howling going on outside, and then we can see, she's got those French doors there, and we see somebody walk up. It's clearly Barnabas. No one else has that silhouette. And then the doors open up. Barnabas walks in and walks around to the end of the bed. So he's standing at the foot of the bed looking at Maggie, and she's just kind of, again, tossing and turning. And he holds his cane up. I think it's supposed to like maybe frame her head while she's lying in bed, but it just like the shot's a little bit off. But he's holding up his cane, not like he's gonna hit her or anything. He's just holding it up. And then he smiles, like not in a friendly way, but smiling in a way that, like when an animal is baring its teeth because it's going to attack someone. And it's not lit very well. They're going to correct that at the start of the next episode. But why is Barnabas in Maggie's bedroom? I know you were invited in, but that was like days ago, bro. You don't just walk into somebody's house when they're asleep and hold up your walking stick and smile at them. The WTF? But uh, you know what I didn't do? I don't think I did. I don't remember. It's been so long ago. But yeah, I'm at episode 225, which I've been talking about for the better part of an hour, aired on May 8th, 1967. So there we end up with Barnabas just standing in Maggie's bedroom while she's asleep. Dude walked in so quietly, the floorboards didn't squeak or nothing. Ugh. And the shot for the credits that we get, it's Maggie's bedroom, but those French doors are closed. Okay, episode 226. There is no episode 226. I don't know why. There just isn't one. But I covered it. So episode 227 aired on May 9th, 1967. That's today. Different year. And all of this is happening on day 61. Yeah, I know I didn't say that. I just jumped in. Nighttime, obviously. Maybe not so obviously, but it will be now because they reshot Maggie in her bedroom, tossing and turning. Barnabas walks in. It's better lit this time because when Barnabas smiles at her, we can see this dude has fucking fangs. He's a vampire. And that's why Willie was so tired. If it wasn't obvious before, we already invited him in. Damn it. You're gonna have to move now. You're gonna have to move across town to the next house over. She doesn't know that. She's asleep. Not only are you a vampire, which okay, you can't help that, but now you want to chew on my girlfriend Maggie? Oh hell no, dude! I'm pissed. I like Barnabas, but I'm pissed. This is not cool. Why's Barnabas got to be chewing on the hottest people on the show? What the actual hell, man? But good taste, no pun intended. But bruh, Thomas Collins says a single dad raised the perfect daughter. You were supposed to protect that family. I mean, like Sam wasn't there when Barnabas first came over, and he hadn't even met him yet, so he wouldn't know anything about him, like how he was, related to Liz or anything like that. So it's sort of not his fault. Brian says, "LOL, I knew it." That's so scary. So be careful who you invite to your house. If you only see someone at night, maybe go meet them at McDonald's. Don't have them come over to your house. Like, may I come in? You know what? I'll meet you outside on the patio. Let's go out on the balcony, dude. Is there a gazebo? We'll hang out there. We'll stand on the sidewalk like it's a drug deal. I'll meet. I'll go to your house. How about that? So that's all for that night. It's the next day. It's day 62. It's morning. And those French doors are just wide open. I don't know how cold it gets at night there, but that can't be healthy. But the doors are just wide open. Maggie is sound asleep. But there's Sam knocking on the door. Maggie, are you up? Walks in, sees she's asleep there. Shakes her a bit to wake her up. Like, Maggie, look at the time, will ya? You overslept. Maggie just groggy as hell. Just, oh, overslept. Like, how long? Sam just, oh, about an hour. The coffee shop called. And didn't you hear the phone ring? She's got that phone right next to her bed. He says, overslept. Grabs her head. She says, to me. Sam says, this is the first time I can remember you oversleeping. You're usually up at the crack of dawn and in the kitchen, putting the coffee on. You know, it always bothered me a little how anyone could get up every morning with such punctuality. Maggie, she's sitting up real slowly. She's like, I'll get up. Just grabs her head again. She just felt so strange. She don't have much energy. So she lies back down. She pulls the covers up to her neck. It feels so cold. Sam's like, looks around, just, oh, well, you left these doors open all night. Closes them up. It's like, open. I remember opening them. Why would I open? Sam looks back over to Maggie's looking down at her. He's, you know, unusually pale this morning. Maggie says, do I? Oh, it's no makeup. To tell you the truth, feel as limp as a rag. Says, "Well, why don't you stay in bed? Forget the coffee shop." He says, "I thought that night would never end. Having bad dreams." But she slowly pushes herself up. She finally gets up far enough that she can actually get her feet on the floor and basically sit up in bed. Sam says, "Oh, I don't think you can make it through the day. I'm gonna phone the coffee shop and tell them that you won't be in." So he starts to leave. So that Maggie says, "No, don't. I'm not ill. I'm not ill. Just tired." Sam says, "Well, why don't you lie down and rest a while?" Maggie yells at him. She's like, "Will you stop telling me what to do?" Says, "I'm just trying to help." He says, "I'm all right. I'm getting up." Sam says, "Well, go ahead and get up." Maggie says, "I will, just as soon as you get out of here." Sam says, "Go ahead, and I guarantee you'll be right back in there." So he goes to leave. Maggie stops him. She's like, "I didn't mean to talk to you like that. Make that coffee strong." Sam doesn't understand why she wants to go to work, and Maggie's just, I just don't think I could spend the whole day in this room. So Sam walks out and she lies back down. Like, we've all been that tired. We haven't been, chewed on by a vampire, but you know how it is, and you just have to force yourself up. She's just like that. But I don't think she's ever yelled at her dad like that before, and that really he kind of doesn't know how to react for a second there. Um, Thomas Collins says, "I'm not inviting Collins's Walmart parking lot." Yeah, we're gonna meet like it's a drug deal, bro. I only see you at night. Yeah, unless we're going to Starbucks or something like that in the morning. I've watched too much media. I kind of pale. I've never seen you eat anything. Yeah, we're gonna meet somewhere. We're gonna meet somewhere public. It's not that I don't like you. I just don't like vampires more. That just snowballs. Thomas says, ironically, our Walmart is in the Asylum District of uh, Ukiah, California. That's a new one on me. What's up, Beach Chef? Glad you made it. Wake up later than usual once again. Yeah, what time is it there? Like 11:30, like noon or something. That's when I've been getting up about noon. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm by the street and just the no. It's not even that loud, but I'm just not used to hearing cars drive by all that time. So I've just been up most of the night doing stuff. I'm really trying to fight being nocturnal. I really am, even though it's in my nature to be up just at night. I really don't want to start waking up at 3:30 p.m. and then having to go to the show, do my own show. It's like if I'm doing my own show, it's kind of a busy day. I really can't be getting up that late. It's nice being up late at night when it's quiet, but it'll work out. Right, haha, he got her tick. And you know how, like, when you're tired too, your patience is just shot. So, like, I get why she's yelling, but they love each other. She loves her dad, so she really does not mean to be that mean to him. But Maggie seems like a healthy girl, so she doesn't even seem like she's the type to catch a cold in the winter. So if she's down for the count, it's super rare. And if you're the type who is not sick often, you're kind of mad at yourself for being sick, and then just being tired on top of it, and the weakness, and just out of sorts. So like I get it. That's why she apologized. But like we've never heard Maggie yell at anybody much less her dad before. So I'm like, oh, she really yelled at him. let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's just having one really bad day. Like she doesn't know she had a visitor last night. She just doesn't really remember opening up the doors, so that's got her thrown off too. Like if I woke up and my window was open, I'd be like, what the hell? I didn't do that. So I get it. Stuff's just moved around. This house isn't haunted, so what's stuff just doing in random places? But now it's later on. We're in the coffee shop. Maggie's there, but she's just not. Doesn't look like herself. She's wearing a scarf. We've never seen her wear a scarf before, and it's kind of like tucked underneath her work uniform. And then usually when she's at work, she'll have her hair like back in a ponytail, and like she'll have like a little bit, maybe like hanging over her shoulder or something like that. But this time it's like she's got the bangs, she's got like maybe a little bow up front, but the rest of her hair is just down. And while that's not sloppy, it still looks cute. She usually puts her hair in a ponytail. So it's like she got dressed, did her makeup, brushed her hair, put in the ribbon, and just did not have time for the ponytail stuff. She just got herself to work late, and nobody's in there now. And her hair is like a little bit messy. She's going to pour herself a cup of coffee, and usually when she does it she's holding the saucer and pours it. This time she's got to set it down on the counter and lean on the counter and pour it like that, like she can't even hold it up. So she's just tired like that. But she pours her coffee, walks around the counter, sits down, just reaches for a spoon, just stirring it. She didn't put any sugar in there, but she's still stirring her coffee. But Joe walks in. He sits down next to her. Maggie's mentioning how like it was just a lunch rush, so she doesn't even want to think about it. You ever been tired as hell and then had a busy day? I've been there. I had one of the busiest days of my life at my job after I went back to work. The day after Gamer Cat died, and I was still in shock. Maybe it was a week later. It was terrible though. So like I've been there. So Maggie's sitting there, kind of looking rough. She's not even sitting up straight. And who says, "What does a cash customer have to do to get a cup of coffee around here?" Maggie says he gets it himself. Joe's like, "All right, I know where it is." And Maggie's like, "No, no, no, I'll go get it. I don't want you to think of the service as that bad in here." She gets back up. She grabs another cup and saucer. She's holding the urn. But before she can even pour the coffee, she like tips the saucer forward. Cup slides off, smash. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Joe's like, "Oh, I apologize to the cup. That's in rough shape." Maggie says, "Let's sweep it up later." Joe says, "You're just going to leave the pieces right there?" She says, "I'll get it later." She grabs another cup and saucer, sets it in front of Joe. Pours, but it's only about a half a cup. So she turns away. Joe's like, "Hey, hey, hey, that's only half a cup." Sorry. Goes back to pour some more. Overfills it so it spills out into the saucer. Joe's like, "Hey, hey, first you don't give me enough, now you give me too much." And Maggie apologizes again. She's like, "I'm sorry, I'll get you another one." I was like, "No, no, take my chances with this one." Grabs a napkin, slides it under the cup. Says, "Is anything wrong?" Maggie says, "I don't know. I must be coming down with something." Joe, did you sleep all right? Maggie, no. I had dreams again like the others, but they were more real. Like it was really happening. I don't understand it. Thomas Collins, we played Maggie into the Great Wide Open and Free Falling works for me. Poor Joe. Oh, Joe, get a cup of Joe around here. What's he got to do for a cup of coffee? He gets it himself. You know where it is. No. But just then, Sam walks in. He's, just stopping in to see how Maggie's doing. And so Maggie really forces a smile. She's like, I'm better. Joe says, well, if this is better, I can't imagine what it was before. Maggie offers to get Sam a cup of coffee. Joe says, well, if she served it to you like she served it to me, I'd consider that a threat. I never thought I'd see Maggie have an off day, but this is it. Now, while what Joe is saying is funny, it is at Maggie's expense, so it dick. Thomas Collins Taster's choice, yeah, serves him instant coffee. Dude, I cannot drink instant anymore. So Maggie gets another, again, she sets the cup and saucer on the counter to pour the coffee. She can't even hold them both up at the same time. But as she's pouring the coffee, she kind of stumbles forward and has to, catch herself on the counter, like sets the urn down. She's not dropping anything else on the floor. She almost falls out. So Joe gets up. He's around the counter and, hold her up. Like, Maggie, what's the matter? It helps her back around, takes her over to a table. I just feel weak. Sam says, I told you you shouldn't have gotten up. I'm going to go get that doctor. And Maggie says, no, don't. Just tired. And she just falls out. Joe's right there, or she would have fallen on the floor, but she just passes out on him. She's out. She's done. Oh, you got through half the day. Good for you. Feeling crummy like that, more power to you. But now we are back in Maggie's bedroom. It's nighttime now, and she's lying in bed. She's in her jammies, and she seems like she's in a better mood. Maybe she took a nap, and in fact, she doesn't have to be up on her feet, it's making her feel a little bit better. So she's acting a little bit more like herself, but she's still stuck in bed, and she's not happy about that. So she doesn't feel good, but she's a little bit more cheerful. So it feels like she's starting to feel better. Like maybe it's just going to pass and she's going to be okay. But Joe's there and he says, I insist you stay in bed. Maggie says, that's good because I don't intend to budge. Joe asks her, why don't you want to see the doctor? Maggie says, what's the doctor going to do? Give me a pill? Tell me to rest? He told me I was entitled to one off day a year, and I'm right in the middle of it. I'll be up and around tomorrow at the coffee shop. Joe says that he's gonna look in on her tomorrow and he's off to have a night out with the boys. I'll see you tomorrow and maybe I'll even bring you some flowers. Maggie says, don't say that. Joe's like, oh, sorry. Maggie says, you were in that dream bringing flowers to my grave. Joe says, forget it. Don't think about it. It's just a bad dream. So he takes up. Go out and have fun. Maggie wants him to go out and have a good time too. Like she's been run down for about 24 hours. She feels like she's being a buzzkill. She wants him to go out and have a good time. She needs to rest. So, okay. I don't like flowers either, but I would react to it like that. Now we are in the old house. We're in the drawing room, and Barnabas is there, and he's just sort of wandering around the room. There's a portrait there that's about halfway, three quarters, maybe not three quarters, about half done. It's like most of his face, a lot of the torso, some of the background. So it's coming along pretty well. Barnabas takes a candle, walks up to the bay window, holding up the candle, looking outside the window. So then we're back over in Maggie's room, and she is up out of bed. She's just brushing her hair. Just doesn't seem weak at all. Sam knocks on the door, goes in. What are you doing out of bed? Maggie says, "You sound like I belong in bed." "I'm feeling much better. I was thinking of getting some fresh air. I thought I'd drive you up to the old house." "You're going up there to paint, aren't you?" Sam says, "Yes, but I only found out 15 minutes ago when Willie came to the door. He was standing outside." Maggie says, "Well, let's just say my illness must have improved my hearing." I think this was the most energy we've seen Maggie have in a day. So, oh, okay, maybe she is getting better. But now we're back in the drawing room. Barnabas is there, and we can hear outside. A car pulls up. Turns off. Doors close. Knock on the door. So Barnabas opens the door. It's Sam and Maggie. Invites them in. And Sam says, "I was wondering if Willie could drive me home." Barnabas says, "Oh, of course, no trouble." So walks up to Maggie after Sam walks past. Barnabas says, "How are you feeling this evening?" Maggie says, "Very well, thank you." Barnabas, "I'm glad to hear that. Your father's doing a magnificent portrait." Maggie takes a look at it. "It's very much you." So Barnabas invites her to sit, but then Sam says, "Oh, she can't stay. She hasn't been feeling well all day. I'm concerned about the night air." Barnabas, "Yes, it's quite damp out. If you've been ill, this certainly isn't the place for you. Much as I enjoy your presence here, I do think it's best that you go directly home. You must take care of yourself." Maggie, "I suppose you're right." Sam, "Of course he is. You go right home and get into bed." Barnabas shows Maggie out. Of course, she's still got that scarf around her neck, was wearing a coat. But as soon as Barnabas gets back into the drawing room, he says to Sam, "Lovely girl. What was the nature of her illness?" Sam, "Well, she was pale, weak, no energy. Woke up that way." Barnabas sits down by the fireplace. I wonder if they put tape on the floor so they know exactly where to position it in case it gets moved during the day, or if they just leave it there all day. Like, does Willie have to sweep around it? Like, is he going to get in trouble if he bumps it a quarter of an inch? I don't know. Like this thing behind me, I bust out the tape measure to see how far away it is from the table. Just a centimeter, really? But we see, this is just real quick. We're back in Maggie's room, and she's getting into bed. good. I'm glad she's not like staying up and cooking and cleaning or doing anything. So she listened to her dad. She's a good girl. Now we're back in the drawing room. It's as if some time has passed. Sam is saying, like, oh, okay, you can relax now. Gotta work in some colors here. It's going along a lot slower than I would like. I'd actually like to take it home and work on it in the sunlight. Just tells him I'd like to have it finished here. I have my reasons. Sam said, of course. So Barnabas wanders over to the bay windows again and he looks outside. We're back in Maggie's room and she's having another nightmare. Just, it's not, she's not awake, but she's kind of tossing and turning a bit, not having a good time. Got back over to the drawing room. We see Barnabas's face and he just looks pleased with himself. Sam he wants to knock off early. He feels like he's done enough for tonight. Barnabas doesn't want him to stop. He says, well, if you just get past the point where you are now, well, we would be almost finished. In fact, if you work on through tonight, we'll skip tomorrow night altogether. Sam's. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. I'll do it. Barnabas. Excellent. While you're working, I'd like to get some fresh air. Sam says, get some for me too. I've got about an hour's worth of work here. Barnabas, that'll be just enough time. And he leaves. And we're back in Maggie's room again. She wakes up out of a dead sleep, sits up, walks over to the doors, opens them up, goes back to bed, lies down, and she pulls that scarf away from her neck. We can't see anything on her neck, but this is the first time she's not had that scarf completely around herself. And she's just lying there with her neck exposed. And we see the drawing room for the credits. Every time Barnabas is alone with Sam, oh, you have such a lovely daughter. How many compliments does Maggie get from strangers in front of her dad that he doesn't think it's weird? Like it must happen every single day. It just does not creep him out. He's never like, every time we're alone, you mention my daughter. Like that never comes up. Like, and it's not a boyfriend, but I know you're a rich guy and you're kind of creepy, and I only see you at night. I don't know if what people knew about vampires in the 60s. I don't know if that's a thing that really. I mean, it exists, but is it like The Walking Dead where they call them walkers because the word zombie just does not exist? So people are just, they don't put it together that pale people that you only see at night could have a 1% chance of being a vampire. I don't know. Maybe it's rude to bring that up. Episode 228. This aired on May 10th, 1967. It is a new day. It's day 63. It's morning. And we are in the living room of Collinwood. And Liz is there. She's wearing this. She may have worn it before. It's got long sleeves. It's got epaulets with it's got like these buttons on top, like just one each. And then about 8 buttons going down the front. It looks sort of military esque. And then I really can't tell what the earrings are. They're either like a cluster of small jewels or it's metal that's just fashioned in such a way to give it some kind of texture to it. And the neck is, really high. She's not wearing a brooch. Liz says, "It's out of the question. I consider the subject closed. You asked me to give you a position in the family business. I said no." Of course, she's saying this to Jason because who else would I ask? Jason says, "It would explain my presence at Collinwood. Think of the family name." Liz says, "This is another attempt at blackmail." Jason, "Blackmail is such an ugly word. I asked you not to use it for the last time. The job I had in mind is something suited to my tastes or my talents. Something like public relations." Liz, "We have no need for public relations. I am not taking you into the company." Jason asks her, "What explanation did you give to your banker when you opened the Swiss bank account for me?" Liz, "I don't give my bankers explanations, I give them orders. What they think makes no difference to me." Jason, "I want there to be an explanation for the money you're giving me." Liz, "There's an explanation, all right. There's no need for one because you won't be here that long. Stay here indefinitely. Your arrangements seem to consist of an unending succession of demands. There's got to be an end to it. There's got to." Jason, "I'd like to see you upset like this. Just get me an office at the cannery and all will be well." Just like Carolyn walks in, she's still in her jammies again. She must get up, do her makeup and hair, eat breakfast, and then get dressed. So she's still in her night dress. But she's walking in like, "Mother," I sees Jason there. And Mrs. Johnson wants to know if she should go ahead with the ordering for next week. Are you all right? Liz, "Yes, I'm fine." Jason, "A little tired, perhaps. I was just telling her that she works too hard." Carolyn just never minds what he says, just walks up to her mom. Just, "Are you sure you're all right?" Liz, "Of course." Carolyn gives Jason a look and then walks out of the door, but before she can even turn back around, he's right behind her, closing up the doors to the living room. You just gotta stop and look at some look. Just have to stop and look at somebody. Just this fucking guy. Great little moment. Jason says that I'm going into Collinsport. By the time I arrive at the cannery, I'll expect you'll have made the necessary calls. Liz, "I won't do it." Jason, "I don't want to be late for my first day on the job." So he leaves the room and Liz walks over to the phone and starts dialing. Jason, prick. So now it's later on. We're in Roger's study, and Roger is saying to Liz, he's just like first, Mr. Whitaker walks in and announces you've appointed a director of public relations, and then it turns out to be Jason McGuire. It was his idea, wasn't it, Liz? It was my idea, and I think it's a good one. You hear those sirens out there? I don't know if this is going to pick that up. Roger. It's bad enough with him disrupting the entire household without having him do the same thing at the business. Tell me why you're letting him do these things? You let him force himself into Collinwood, and now you're letting him force himself into the business. Liz, I'm not letting him do anything. I don't want to discuss it anymore. Roger, you're making a terrible mistake. Liz, you know me better than that. I never make a mistake. Yeah. So now we're in the living room with Carolyn and Victoria, and Carolyn is just saying she cannot stand the sight of Jason. She says, I loathe that man so much I can hardly stand it. Just his, just his sticky sweet manner and his insinuating tone and the contempt behind it all. Victoria says, contempt. Carolyn, everything he does is tinged with it. Oh, Brian, thank you. I almost forgot buttons like, yeah, smash that like button. It helps out. On the way to 1 million, you know how it is. So Jason walks in. He's afternoon, ladies. Can you tell me where I can find Liz? Carolyn, I don't know. Jason asks Victoria. Carolyn says Vicky doesn't know either. Mr. McGuire, how long do you intend to stay at Collinwood? Jason's here at Liz's invitation. Why, just this morning she asked me to help her with the business. Carolyn, I don't believe it. Jason, I'd like to stay and talk, but the first day on the job can wear a man down. Carolyn, you work today? At the cannery. Jason, Liz asked me to. You shouldn't be surprised after all. Liz and I are very old and close friends. It's almost getting to be like old times before she met Paul. We were even closer then. Carolyn, I don't believe it. Jason, as you like, but you will. He walks out of the room. Saying, I'll never believe it. This outfit she's wearing, I didn't check, but I'm pretty sure it's the outfit that she bought when Liz was up in the hospital in Boston. So it's like a darker colored fabric with this up and down cross, a very uh well, it's like a screen for a window, like that kind of like crosses, like the boxes, that kind of, and that's in a lighter color. I describe clothing all the time. It looks nice on her. She doesn't wear it a lot. But now we're in Roger's study. It's Roger's there holding the drink, and Carolyn and Vicky are there. Roger is saying he's like, I've never heard of Jason McGuire until he walked into Collinwood. Victoria says, well, he said he used to be very close to Liz. Carolyn says, and he left no doubt as to what he meant. Roger, and you believed him. Carolyn says, I don't know what to believe. Victoria asks, did you mention Jason? Roger's like, well, you have to remember, I didn't hardly know Paul myself. I was away at school during that whole fiasco, but apparently he was a frequent visitor. Ellen says, I hate to think he was friends with people like Jason. Sometimes I wish I knew more about my father, but then when I find out, I Decide I don't want to know after all. Love wishing I knew something. When he went away, did he leave anything behind? Roger, I gather he left only those things in the basement. Carolyn, what things? Roger, those things in that room in the basement. Victoria says, you mean that locked room? Rogers, yes, that one. Didn't you know about it? Carolyn knew about the locked room, but I was told to never ask questions about it. Roger, well, now you know why. Such a dick. I love Roger. Carolyn asks him, what kind of things? Like photographs, books, clothing? Roger says, I don't know. Liz has the only key. Victoria chimes in. She says, I don't think we should talk about it. And just then Liz walks in, she sees all them standing around, like, oh, I hope I'm not interrupting a meeting. Roger says, no, we were just talking about Jason's new job. So Carolyn walks up to her mom. She says, may I have the key to the room in the basement? To Uncle Roger says, my father's things are in there. Liz, there's nothing in there. Carolyn says, if my father's things are in there, I have a right to ask. Liz says, don't mention that room ever again. That goes for all of you. Is that clear? Shuts them all down. So now in the living room, like Liz is in there waiting, and it's like she had asked, Victoria to come in and see her. So, Victoria walks in, Liz just apologizes for her behavior just earlier in Roger's study. Liz says, that room's not important, not at all. Please help me convince Carolyn. Victoria says, well, I feel that room is why you've been upset lately. If Paul's things are, Mr. Stoddard's things are in there, I can see why you'd be upset for anyone to go in there. Liz says, you're right. Those things are in that room. Carolyn mustn't go in there. Just tell her to forget about it. It's a really quick scene because we're right back in Roger's study, and there's Carolyn. She's got a desk drawer open. She's looking through papers. She's moving stuff aside. She's pulling boxes off of the bookshelf. She's looking through those, and Victoria walks in, so she stops. I thought you were my mother. Victoria says, you're looking for that key to the basement, aren't you? Carolyn says, if my father's things are in there, I have a right to see them. Don't worry, my mother won't find out. Don't try to talk me out of it. Why don't you help me look for the key? Victoria says, well, I don't want you to find it. Maybe his things aren't even in there. Carolyn, then why does my mother get so upset about it? What could be in there? I have to find out. Victoria tells her to just forget about it for Liz's sake. It upsets your mother. Think about her. So Carolyn looks at her like, yes, I acknowledge what you're saying to me, but then she goes right back across the room and starts looking for it. It's like when you want your pet to stop doing something and you get them to stop for 2 seconds and they go right back to doing it. It's literally that. Like, stop doing that thing and they stop for a second and then continue to do that thing. She's on a mission. This is what she has to do. So we see Roger study for the credits, and I started to think, I bet Liz now misses having Willie around to distract Jason from her, because before he was just worried about his friend being sick, and now that Willie's not in the house, Jason can go back to focusing all of his attention on pissing off Liz. So I mean, she would never admit it, but I think she was having a better time about a week ago when Billy was sick and bad. But oh well, too late. Like tell Barnabas he can move back in. Water. Whoever is buying all of the Rockstar Silver Eyes, stop it. I can't find that stuff anywhere. I'm gonna drink my. Hold on. It's all right. Episode 229 aired on May 11th, 1967. We're still in day 63. It's afternoon. We're in Maggie's bedroom, and she is sound asleep with the doors open, just like the other day or yesterday. And as knotted out as she is, her hair still looks cute. Like she's still got the bangs going on with the little bow up front. She is fast asleep, and it's the middle of the day. So Sam knocks on the door, goes in. He sees she's asleep, notices those doors are open, and closes them. So he leaves her in there. He walks back into the living room of the house, gets on the phone, just yeah, yeah, man, Maggie won't be in today. She's same as yesterday. Yeah, yeah, I'll tell her. Probably just hangs his left. But over in Maggie's room, she wakes up and she's just weak as hell still, just looking so tired. Slowly, she pushes herself up. She gets her legs over the bed, just feet on the floor. Stands up, takes a step, and just collapses back on the bed. She's just zero energy. She's just out of breath, all of that. She's worse than yesterday. So Sam brings in. He's got a tray. It's got like a coffee pot and a cup. It looks like a toast with some jam on it. You know, sets it down on the table, and because there was that chair across the room where she had the book. There's a little table next to it. He's got that sitting there. Walks up to her. He just barely puts his hand on her shoulder and shakes it just a little bit, and she startled, just scares the hell out of her. Wakes her up. Sam says, "Well, it's okay. I just thought it was time for you to get up." Well, I don't want you to get up, but I thought you should have something to eat. He asks him, "What time is it?" Sam says it's 4 p.m. He says, "You sleep that long? What about work?" Sam, I called you off. How do you feel? Worse than yesterday? Yeah. Sam says, well, have some coffee. I want you to have some coffee. Maggie says, no thanks. Sam says, well, I can make you some tea. I've got the kettle on. Maggie, no thanks. Sam, well, how about I open up a can of soup? You gotta have something. Maggie says, I don't want anything. Sam says, you're just not taking care of yourself. Those doors were open again last night. He says, I remember opening them, but why would I open them? Sam just, oh, probably because I told you not to. Like, I'm gonna call the doctor. He says, no, I'll be all right. Sam, yeah, you said that yesterday, and I listened to you. Now you're going to listen to me. Maggie says, I won't see him. Sam says, I'm just trying to help. I'm just not used to seeing you like this. She's lying down. He's holding her hand. It's really sweet. She's weak as hell, Maggie says. I'll be over this by tomorrow. Doctor can't help me. I don't even think she has the energy to yell at Sam today. She's just that far gone. So I guess she wasn't getting better last night. But now we're in the Blue Whale. Got some upbeat music going on. Victoria's there with Burke. Whenever Victoria's on a date, she's got her hair up. She's got these little pearls in. It's a very a light colored dress, super short sleeve, really cute. But they're having their drinks, and Victoria's glad that Burke took her out because people up at Collinwood, they're doing and saying things for no reason. She's just confused as hell, does not know what the hell's going on. So Burke's like, yeah, I got something that's confusing me. Why's Willie staying at the old house? Victoria's like, oh, well, that's easy. He's working for Barnabas Collins. He's fixing up the old house. He seems to be very good with his hands. I can't see him settling down as a respected member of the town. Is he still sick? Victoria, he's mostly better, but Barnabas has taken responsibility for him. Even Jason has said he's changed. Burke, there's a reliable source. Victoria says, oh, Jason would surprise you too. He works for the Collins family now. Says, well, I hope they don't give him a job near the cash register. Yeah. Jokes, man. Now we're back at the Evans cottage, and Sam's just sort of pacing, knock on the door. Joe's there, asking if Maggie's any better, and Sam says she's worse. She wouldn't even let me call the doctor. I don't get it. It's like she's not the same girl. Joe says it's the illness. Just when the doctor comes out of the room, we haven't seen this doctor before. It's not the Dr. Woodard who saw Willie. This is just a different doctor. But he comes out, he's saying that Maggie's weak and she doesn't have any energy. Sam's like, I know, I told you that over the phone. Doctor says, well, you didn't tell me. She's lost a great deal of blood. She couldn't explain why, or wouldn't. What kind of girl are you raising, Sam? She knew I was there to help her. Thomas, yeah, what good will money do him? Exactly. You can't buy health. It's not a video game. Anything Jason can get away with, he'll do. So it doesn't. He's not like snatching up jewels like Willie would, but if he can, just get like he would steal candy from a baby if he thought there was some profit in it. He's just that low. Right, so since it was the 60s, they probably didn't let him near the cash register. Because when they were arguing about it, Jason was, Liz was thinking Jason wanted to get his hand on the accounts. I don't know if Jason, maybe he's not smart enough to understand all that bookkeeping. He just wants to get whatever he can, as much as he can, as fast as he can. So if he gets a job in public relations, which is basically a nothing job, they're a cannery. You don't have to advertise. They fish and put fish in cans. You don't have to. Who are they going to advertise to? The Dolphins? So it's a do nothing job so he can get a paycheck or get a salary on top of a Swiss bank account from Liz, on top of spending money from her. He probably did that so he doesn't have to ask her for cash every single Friday. So he's just getting something in his name, saying that he has a job to explain why he is there to protect their good name. Why would Liz have a some random dude just saying Collinwood? Like, think of the scandal. People are gonna talk. Like that's his what he's on about when Liz doesn't give a damn what people have to say about her. Thomas Collins said you had to be bondable. Oh, maybe he's trying to leave a paper trail to prove he had a legitimate job at some point in the last however many years. I don't know what he was doing in Panama other than getting robbed. Yeah, the doctor's asking you, "A girl you raising, Sam? She knew that I was there to help her." And Sam's just, I'm sorry. She's usually not so edgy. But the doctor says that he took blood. They're going to run tests on it, and they could know more as soon as tomorrow. How tired is she going to be now? She doesn't have any blood, so he takes a little bit more. Sounds like George Washington's doctors. But he puts her on a special diet, and then he gives Sam some pills talking about give her two of these to take. So she's taking two every 4 hours. I don't know what kind of pills those would be. Build your blood up pills, speed. I don't know, but just some pills. I assume they're uppers. All right, let's party. But she is also supposed to stay in bed. And if there's any change, give him a call, and he takes off. And it's got to be late afternoon by now. Sam's asking, it's after the doctor leaves, just how can she lose blood? We haven't seen any around on the floor or nothing. Joe's like, it beats me. So Sam picks up the bottle to pour himself a drink, but it's empty. So Joe says, why don't you go down to the Blue Whale? Like, I'll watch Maggie. I'm sure you can get out of, you want to get out of the house, get some fresh air. I'll be right here. You go have fun and come back. I'll watch her. It's fine. So Sam's like, oh, well, okay, I'll be back as soon as I can. I don't know how many drinks that is, but he's not trying to like stay out until they close or anything. He's worried about his daughter. So now we see this establishing shot. It must be sunset. But Maggie wakes up. There's the howling outside. She just sort of just rises up from her bed. She gets out of bed. She opens the doors, the French doors. Then she opens the door to her bedroom. And Joe's just sitting on the sofa looking at a magazine. Maggie says, "Where's Pop?" She sounds angry. And this is really cute when you notice it. There's three pictures on the wall, like there's two up here and then one beneath it to the side of her bedroom door, but the camera goes a little bit too far to the side. So I can see the wall is just like held up with a board, a beams. They totally broke the fourth wall by immersion. But it's a serious scene. We're not supposed to think about that. He wants to know where Pop is. Joe's like, you're just supposed to be in bed. Went out to get some air. So Maggie walks into the living room a little ways, but when she gets up to the sofa, she gets a little bit weak and just kind of catches herself. So Joe's right there to help her. She says, "I'm not an invalid. Everybody's treating me like I'm an invalid. What did the doctor say?" Joe, that you should stay in bed. Maggie, he doesn't know anything. Are you the babysitter? Joe says, "I'm staying here until Sam gets back." Maggie says, "Well, babysitting time's over." What do I owe you? 25, 50 cents an hour? So says, I promised Sam that. Maggie says, I don't care what you promised. I want to be left alone. If you don't leave now, I'll never speak to you again. She grabs his coat and chucks it at him. I know you're not well. I don't want to see you get so upset. I'll go. Joe leaves, and Maggie just looks so happy with herself. And again, she's never spoken to him like this before. This is so way out of character for her. Now we're back at the Blue Whale, and Burke puts a song on the jukebox and walks back over to the table. And it's him and Victoria and two other folks at another table. And so Burke notices that. He's like, is it just me, or is it awfully quiet in here? Victoria says, well, people are probably staying close to home. They're upset about what's been happening to the girls and to all those poor animals. So just then Sam walks in, and he's not really looking for anybody, but Burke says something to him, so Sam joins him, offers to get him a drink. Says, I heard Maggie's sick. It's the first time Victoria's heard about this, so she's, what's wrong with her? Right, says she's wanting them sucker marks. Yeah, you get bit and it starts changing your brain chemistry. Sam's like, the doctor doesn't know. It's pale and weak, and then she fell out, and doctor says it's a blood deficiency. Woke up, wasn't feeling well, had drug herself to work, fell out there, and quite she had enough energy to drive me up to the old house. And I thought she'd be at work the next day, and she got worse. Tori's like, wait, so she was sick, and then she collapsed, and that night she was up and around, and then this morning she's sick again? Those are the same symptoms Willie Loomis had. So just then Joe walks in. Seems like I thought you were in that house. Joe says Maggie threw me out. I came out of her room and threw a fit because of all the fuss we're making over her. Thought if I'd have stayed there any longer, she'd have started throwing punches, so I left. Joe's like, I gotta get back to the house. And so he gets up and goes, and I'm sitting there like, that's the first time I ever saw Sam not finish a drink. Joe says, it won't go to waste. I can use it. I didn't even think Sam was there long enough to let the drink come to the table. He was just out again so fast, but I'd have left that quick too. But Joe's saying, Peggy doesn't look good. Victoria's just still sitting there thinking about it. She's like, that is so strange. Just like Willie Loomis. So then we're back at the Evans cottage. Sam, he's always very respectful. He knocks on the door, no answer, goes into Maggie's room. She's gone. The doors are open. The bed looks like somebody just pushed the blankets off themselves. She's not in there. He's hollering out the door for her. She's MIA. She's just gone. And then we see the Evans cottage for the credits. Poor Maggie. That's a that's a good place to end it off. Gotta. It's like 4 minutes till anyway. Yeah. So, uh, Aggie's been so sick and in such a bad way. This whole review. Found out Barnabas is a vampire. I think that's why they have to reshoot some stuff because maybe the lighting just isn't right, or maybe the camera is just a little bit off. So that's why we get the little bit of a a recap of the last episode at the start of the next episode. Uh, but like with Barnabas, like it's creepy enough that Barnabas shows up, walks into Maggie's room, and is smiling at her. And then they reshoot it for the next episode, and that's when we can see these friggin' fangs. He never brings up dental work any other time. It's not like he's proud of it. So it's the creepiest smile too. Again, it's like before an animal attacks its prey, and it's just baring its teeth. It's that kind of a smile. He's not happy to be there. He's happy he's at the buffet. So Maggie. Oh my god, and she is so out of character. She's always so upbeat and energetic and pleasant. And now she's in bed. She can't stand up. She doesn't even do her hair. She's wearing a scarf. She's yelling at her boyfriend. She's yelling at her dad. Fighting with the doctor. Just completely out of character. And this is why it's kind of good to watch the beginning, because before we wouldn't know this if you only watched just Dark Shadows proper, but before with the Laura Collins stuff, spooky stuff is happening to Sam. Now we get to where Barnabas Collins is on the show, and now spooky stuff is happening to Maggie. What is it with the Evanses? Stuff keeps happening to them. This family has the worst luck. Like, what happened to his wife? I mean, I know she's not with us anymore, but like, did spooky stuff happen to her too? We don't know. We don't know. We don't ever find that out. Uh, so yeah, really good episodes too. I can't always do them justice. You got to see like Liz with the bow in her hair and all that stuff. But so we're finding out more. It seems like we're about to find out more what's going on with that locked room in the basement. I can't believe this whole time Carolyn's been living there and she didn't know her dad's stuff was in there. She was just told to never ask about it, and that's it. But I guess it would tell her what's in there. Her mom's not going to tell her. So this is the first time in her whole life she's learning that her dad's stuff is in the house that she's been living in her whole life. So I can understand why she wants to find the key. Like, she doesn't know what's in there. We don't know what's in there. We haven't been in there yet. So yeah, all kinds of we find out what's going on with Barnabas first before we find out what's going on with that locked room in the basement of Collinwood. Oh, so yeah, I hope you guys had fun. 2 hours goes by so fast when you're live. It's one thing to be at a live show, it's another thing to do a show. And the time, it's like it runs double speed. It's crazy. But I hope everybody had a good time. That this was fun for me too. Smash the like button on the way out. It helps out with the channel. I don't want to mention my sub count because it always goes down when I do. I did get another subscriber when I was sitting there watching Puff get 1 million subs. So that was cute. But yeah, more power to Puffs Gaming 81 for getting 1 million subscribers. You guys are awesome for being subscribed to me. That helps out. Thomas Collins, yeah, Liz has a purposeful updo. Yeah, it's very elegant. It's very up and out of the way, so she can get things done. It's very professional and classy, and like kind of youthful. Just all the things. If I knew how to if I had enough hair to put up like that, I would do my hair like Liz or like Maggie. I love their hair. Want to go to time well spent. Indeed. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for showing up with your pants off and being sexy and based. And so get some good sleep, get something to eat, smoke it on the balcony, play some Minecraft if you got an extra 30 bucks around. Enjoy the weather. May has some pretty good weather. It's not too rainy, it's not too hot. I guess depending on where you live in the country. Don't sleep with your French doors open. If you know anybody who you only see at night, maybe meet them at a public place for a while until you get to know them a little bit better, just in case. You don't want the problems that the Evanses have. Oh, John Rogers says, have a great night, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for showing up again. Everybody's awesome. Don't forget your pants. I will be seeing you guys in a chat room. Taking too much energy drinks. Brian says I've got shorts on. That's okay. They're not pants, so that still flies. Thomas Collins says, "Ciao balcony, love you guys too. Y'all help more than you know." Yeah, having you guys around, having these live shows, having the chat room to see you guys in for most of the week helps out more than I can say. I don't know what my life would be like without being able to see you guys for most of the days of the week. Thomas Collins' last bite. I know, right? Stop chewing on my girlfriend's neck, damn it. But yeah, you guys make all of the bullshit worth it. So thank you guys for being awesome and being here for me so I can be here for you and we'll all get through it together. Brian says I have 160 pounds of dogs and things that go bang. Yeah, that'll keep the creeps from coming into your bedroom at night when you're sleeping. So yeah, it's great to see everybody. Have a great rest of the night. We'll see each other again somewhere soon. So I love you guys again. Everybody take it easy. Until next time.